Ileana Ros-Lehtinen of Florida.
Thank you so much, Chairman Royce. Thank you, Ranking Member Engel, and welcome back, Special Envoy McCurk. It's an honor to be with you. I continue to be stunned that the State Department believes still that Russia and Iranian engagement in Syria could be a positive development. With the help of Iranian forces and Russian air power, we're seeing Assad's forces creep closer to Aleppo, as has been pointed out, a strong base for the opposition, and the regime is on the brink of encircling the city in order to starve the population, with Russia indiscriminately bombing residential areas. Assistant Secretary Patterson testified to a question I asked her in November in a hearing that Assad's atrocities are a recruiting tool for ISIS, and that it is not possible for us to defeat ISIS while Assad's massacres continue with Iran and Russia's help. So what steps is the administration taking to prevent a massacre of Syria's remaining moderate opposition? When will we airdrop humanitarian supplies to the people of Aleppo? Is that still something that we're going to do? And you've said to the Chairman and the Ranking Member that Russia is a problem, but does the administration intend to take any measure to stop Russia from bombing Syria's civilians? And how can we justify asking the Syrian opposition to drop its condition that the Assad regime, Russia, and Iran cease committing these crimes against humanity as a condition to continue the Geneva talks? So I look forward to that answer, but let me just bring up two quick points, Mr. Ambassador. I wanted to ask you about the future plans for the Iraqi Jewish archives. Can they stay in the United States? I raise it now as I have in the past. We've worked together with you, and I thank you because you've been very engaged on this with the Iraqi government. I don't want the State Department to return these precious artifacts, the Iraqi Jewish archives, and what is the fate of the archives after the exhibit ends its run at my alma mater, Florida International University? And lastly, now that Iran has been legitimized through the JCPOA, received billions of dollars in sanctions relief through which it can continue its reign of terror, what guarantees have you received from the Iraqis, and have you brought it up, to protect the residents of Camp Liberty from this newly strengthened and well-funded regime in Tehran? You can give me a written response on that. Will we be providing aerial protection, which is what the residents want now, to the Camp Liberty residents, and are we going to continue to put T-walls in place or not? But if you could ask the question about what we're doing to prevent a massacre and airdrop humanitarian supplies, and the role of Russia. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Ross. I want to thank you in particular for your cooperation on the very difficult issue of the Iraqi Jewish archives, and we're very honored that they're on display in your district. And when I was the Iraq DAS, I worked on this issue quite a bit. I'm no longer in that role, but I still care very much about it. I understand they're scheduled to run through the end of the year. And let me take that back to the State Department and get you a very detailed answer on that question, and also on the MEK. That's something I also continue to follow quite closely. We've made some progress in getting those folks out of Iraq, many of them going to Albania, but I also get you a written answer on that. On the question of the humanitarian situation in Syria, I'll just repeat what I said. It's completely unacceptable. The failure to provide humanitarian assistance to besieged communities in Syria is not only an international law obligation, it is now anchored by a brand new UN Security Council resolution. This is something that we have to open up these corridors, period. And so first and foremost on the agenda when we get to Munich is the humanitarian corridor issue. There are besieged communities across Syria. Millions of people. Some of them are besieged by ISIL. Some of them are besieged by, most of them are besieged by the regime. Some of them are besieged by elements, more extreme elements of the opposition. All of them should have humanitarian access. That's a principle of international law. It's bounded by a UN Security Council resolution that we all agreed to as part of this Syria support group process, and is first and foremost on the agenda in Munich. And again, without underestimating the difficulty, I'm hoping we can come out of Munich with some agreements on that.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Chairman Royce.